just it starts with consumerism. It starts with what we buy at the grocery store, and there's always alternatives to meat and dairy. And so if you can do that, you're going to be saving so many lives, and not just the lives of the animals that are eaten for their meat, but also the lives of many endangered species because of human wildlife conflict, because of the meat and dairy industry.
Hello, and welcome back to the Outdoor Minimalist podcast. I'm your host, Meg Carney, and I'm an outdoor and environmental writer and author of the book, Outdoor Minimalist, Waste Less Hiking, Camping, and Backpacking. The Outdoor Minimalist podcast has the goal to give listeners actionable ways to waste less hiking, camping, backpacking, and more during every step of their process. Your impact outdoors starts long before you hit the trail and goes beyond leave no trace ethics. You'll learn how to identify sustainable outdoor brands, how to ask hard questions regarding sustainability, and begin to shift and evolve your mindset to integrate minimalism into all of your outdoor pursuits. When we talk about what we eat, we often think about our own health, but what about the health of the planet? In episode 148 of the Outdoor Minimalist podcast, we explore our food system through the lens of animal conservation and how our individual choices can contribute to devastating ecological impacts such as deforestation, which further pressures endangered species around the globe. Our guest, Cleary, is a model actress and documentary filmmaker, known for her roles in America's Next Top Model and How to Get Away with Murder. Katie is a passionate advocate for animal welfare, as demonstrated by her impactful work in the documentary Why on Earth, where she collaborated with Clint Eastwood to highlight the urgent issue of deforestation and its effects on endangered species. With her latest project focusing on the preservation of North American wolves and her leadership in Peace for Animals and World Animal News, Katie's commitment to wildlife conservation is truly inspiring. Thank you for joining me on the Outdoor Minimalist podcast today, Katie. I am excited to have you here and have followed your work for quite some time. So to get us started, I would love to hear from you about what exactly drew you to a career in animal conservation and a focus in animal welfare.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So it really started when I was about 11 years old. Grew up in Chicago, and it was about big cat conservation originally, endangered species. And it started with my mom giving me a big cat book, and I memorized the whole book. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to do in my future. I want to protect endangered species and raise awareness for them. So, and I also rescued wildlife in Chicago. I would rescue birds that had fallen out of a nest, or possums or raccoons or what have you, and we bring them to a local wildlife vet and then re-release them back into the wild. So yeah, that's when I knew, my passion and my dream was to protect animals.
And has that always been your focus in your career, or what kind of led you to starting Peace for Animals and pursuing documentary filmmaking?
Well, it was really, it was always about animals. So it was about using my platform in entertainment to raise awareness for something greater. And I knew that animals didn't have a voice, and especially with what was happening. It started with big cats, like I had mentioned, and tiger conservation. When I was young, I realized there was only 5,000 tigers left in the wild, and I thought, wow, we have to do something about this to bring their numbers back up. So for me, it started with tiger conservation, and that was actually the first charity event that I did back in 2012 with Born Free to raise awareness for tigers in India. So yeah, so big cats, and now elephants and rhinos, and a lot of different species in Africa, Indonesia, and a lot that we highlighted in our latest documentary, Why on Earth.
Yeah, and in that documentary, Why on Earth, you give kind of an introductory view to a lot of different issues in animal conservation across the globe. And so, do you mind overviewing what some of the main conservation and welfare issues you overview in that documentary and the most pressing ones that we see in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talk a lot about the rhino horn and the ivory trade. And right now, literally just got back from Africa last week, and we visited one of our partner sanctuaries, Care for Wild. They do incredible work. They save firsthand. They save rhinos, I believe, from extinction. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I don't believe that South Africa would have the rhino population they do now. And so So we visited them and we saw their incredible work. They rescue all the orphans from the rhino horn trade in Kruger and elsewhere in South Africa, and including black and white rhinos. Right now, white rhinos, northern white rhino, is functionally extinct. So there's two females left, and the male Sudan died in 2018. And so they're trying to do in vitro fertilization to repopulate the northern white species because there's only two females left. And they're using a southern surrogate female to repopulate the northern. So that's how bad the rhino horn trade has gotten. The fact that we now have to use in vitro fertilization because there's only two of the species left. There are southern white rhinos and there are black rhinos, but their wishes are dwindling, and it's really for medicinal purpose, no proven medicinal purpose to the east. So that's where the rhino horn is sent, and for a status symbol for wealth, which is just tragic. So whatever we can do to raise awareness and save rhinos and also elephants in the ivory trade, same thing. The ivory is going to the east. And so we have to do what we can. So whether that's supporting anti-poaching, Care for Wild, rhino sanctuaries like that, and also David Shelter Wildlife Trust in Kenya that rescue elephants, we have to do whatever we can. So whether that's going to see these animals in the wild, supporting ecotourism, like I said, donating, volunteering, we can do our part.
Yeah, and something that I really liked about the Y on Earth documentary is that you saw firsthand, like the scope of the issue, and also you got to hear from the people and organizations that are working to protect those animals. So, starting with the rhinos, and then we can move on to some of the other animals that you cover in that documentary. What were some of the specific efforts that those organizations have put into place to try and protect the rhinos that are left?
Well, right now, the rescue and rehab for Care for Wild. So what they were doing, I was there last week, and we met some of the orphans. We also met the orphans that have also now given birth, and now they're the mothers of babies, and they didn't get a chance to even see their mother because they were killed for their horn right in front of them. So it's just amazing that it's gotten to the point where it's now generational. So all these little baby orphans that they have rehabilitated are now having families of their own, and now they're protected in an area where they feel safe. And so, I think right now it's key if we can visit these animals in the wild. I know that it's probably easier said than done, but if you get a chance to, and if you're able to, please support and travel and support ecotourism. And travel to these countries and do it the right way, because if you see these animals in the wild, it will change your perspective. It'll change your life. And so I know that many people might not have the ability to do that, but if they do get the chance, please do it. And Africa has truly changed my life as a result.
Yeah, and if we're kind of sticking to the animals that you covered in Africa, I believe the elephants were grouped into that part of the movie. And so, what were some of the conservation efforts surrounding the elephants?
So elephants, so anti-poaching for both elephants and rhinos. So hiring heavy-duty anti-poaching security teams, ex-military teams that can catch these poachers and prosecute them. So and other things are done. I mean, it's not just prosecution, but if poachers are caught, so be it. Whatever happens will happen, and if it's to save a species, you know, uh, whatever's got to be done has got to be done. So, and I think that doing the ethical way is very important, and having the law on your side is important. But sometimes that's not the case, and there's a lot of corruption in the ivory and the rhino horn trade. So, and I think it's customs officials, it's the airports, it's baggage handlers, it's transportation industry. A lot of people are involved, and I think high level officials are involved as well. And so, you think that it's just these kingpins that are hiring poachers to kill these animals. It's not. I think that it's more complex than that, and sadly, there's a lot of money involved in the trades. So we have to nip it in the butt on the top level, and
Yeah.
that's where investigations have to take place.
With the rhino horn and the ivory trade, are those things still legal or are they all occurring illegally?
There are a couple legal trades, sadly, but mostly majority is illegal. So it's black market. Um, and the fact that in some countries it's legally traded is absolutely shocking. So I can definitely give you a list of those countries. But for instance, like the lion, the lion captive lion hunting, that was banned in South Africa, and there's a phase out period, and so um, uh, trophy hunting. I mean, personally, I don't see a difference between poaching and trophy hunting. You're killing an animal for, to put a head on your wall or a rug on your floor. It's ridiculous. And then the poachers kill them, to sell their horn or their ivory. So I don't see a difference. They seem to see a difference, but I don't agree with trophy hunting or hunting for that matter. So we try to do what we can to raise awareness for it all. Some people may disagree, but we really have to step up the game. We have to be their voice, otherwise we're going to lose them forever.
Yeah, and I do if you're listening to this podcast, I do encourage you to watch the Y on Earth documentary. It is available for streaming, and it shows, like, the aftermath of the poaching incidents where they're just taking pieces of these animals and leaving the rest, and it is devastating. It is a hard watch, so, like, be prepared for that, but I think it is an important one so people are aware of the scope of the issue. And
Thank you.
rhinos and elephants are not the only animals that you focus on in that movie or in your other work. So, do you mind explaining some of the other efforts, conservation efforts that you overviewed?
Absolutely. Orangutans are one of the topics that we highlight in Y on Earth. It was actually one of the first countries we went to, Indonesia. So we visited Borneo and Sumatra. Sorry, we visited Borneo and Sumatra, and we actually rescued a pregnant orangutan, and her forest habitat was going to be destroyed because of the palm oil industry. And palm oil is in 50% of all products at the grocery store. So if you look on the back of cookies and shampoos, conditioners, ice creams, you name it, you'll see palm oil or its derivatives. And it's single handedly destroying primary rainforest in Indonesia and critical orangutan habitat. And so that's why I put it in the film, because I thought, us as consumers, we have to know what we're buying, and we have to look on the back of products, and also try to raise awareness and tell our friends, hey, look, did you know that this has palm oil in it? You might not want to purchase this, or write to the company and say you should probably stop using palm oil because it's unsustainable, and it's killing critically endangered species. So, but in the film, we were able to rescue this orangutan, and we relocated her that night to primary rainforest habitat so she could have her baby and be safe.
Yeah, palm oil is a really big issue and it has been going on for quite some time. And that is one area where I think consumers can kind of vote with their dollar, as you can with a lot of different issues. You can align with brands that are choosing not to contribute to these essentially ecological genocides, which is a very bold statement, but something that I believe.
No, I
So,
believe 100% right. And it is, and we do vote with our dollars. And if we could just spread a little more compassion and make people realize these animals and their habitat is worth more alive than dead, I think we could single-handedly save these species from extinction.
adventuring plans on your calendar? Remember to grab your Lava Linens travel towel on your way out the door. Founded by a mother daughter team, Lava Linens crafts durable, luxurious travel towels as a more sustainable and better performing alternative to microfiber and cotton towels. Powered by flax, hemp, and tencel, they're designed to be by your side for years to come. Use the code Outdoor Minimalist for 15% off your next order. Yeah, and you mentioned the pregnant orangutan as one standout story, but do you have any other individual stories from animals that you've worked with that have really stuck out to you throughout your career?
Oh, absolutely. I would say, gosh, one of the most impactful stories are the last two female northern white rhinos on Earth. When we went to Kenya to film them, my friend that was actually with us, Stan Richardson, he was with Sudan right before he passed, and Sudan was the last male northern white rhino of his species. Sorry, Sudan was the last male northern white rhino of his species, and sadly, he was not able to breed. So they were able to, when Sudan passed in 2018, they were able to take his sperm, and they're trying to take an egg from one of the female northern white rhinos and repopulate their species through a southern surrogate female white rhino. So the fact that we have to do this and use in vitro fertilization to save a species is shocking. It should have never come to this point. They're functionally extinct in the wild. And so to meet those last two of a species, two female northern white rhinos, was just, it broke my heart. And to see the graveyard of where all those animals that have been poached and killed for their horns lie. I mean, I lost it on camera. I was just heartbroken. I started crying, and it's so. I mean, I would say the most impactful scene of the film. There's many, but one that really struck me was when I saw Sudan's grave, the last northern male white rhino, and there was, in the distance, there was a southern white rhino, literally right behind his headstone. And I thought, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to save a species before they're lost forever. And it put everything into perspective. It was like that rhino in the distance was placed there. I have a tremendous faith in God, and I know that we're here for a purpose, and my mission is to raise awareness for the animals. So yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that scene from the movie. It was very impactful.
Yeah.
And I know that Why on Earth is not the only documentary project that you have put out or that you are working on currently. So, what are some of the other animal welfare issues that you have dedicated your life to? And do you have any upcoming projects?
Yes, yes. Well, our first documentary was "Give Me Shelter," and we got that on Netflix in 2015, and so that was my first documentary ever. And I used my savings to do it, and I thought, this is a big chance I'm taking, but it's worth it. It took me 3 years to make it, and it's kind of the introduction to Why on Earth. So we didn't have the funding to film in these amazing locations, but we were able to do what we could with the people that are as passionate as I am in entertainment about issues around the world. So we highlight illegal wildlife trafficking, puppy mills, also legislation to protect animals, and the fur trade. And we highlight a lot of the issues that we really go in depth into for Why on Earth. So yeah, Give Me Shelter was the first project. Why on Earth is the latest, and the newest one is Protect. Ooh, sorry. You got it. Okay. Our newest film that we're in the middle of, well, our newest project that we're in the middle of filming is called Protectors of the Wild, and it's about wolves and wolf conservation in the United States and Canada. So right now we're looking to film in British Columbia. We're going to be filming in Yellowstone again, and also a wolf conservation center in New York. So we're hoping that, hopefully it will be released next year.
Yeah, and do you mind overviewing some of the wolf conservation efforts and some of the issues around wolf populations in North America?
Absolutely. So we're on the Relist Wolves Coalition, and right now they're being hunted to near extinction. And with what happened with Cody Roberts, I'm sure that you are aware it went viral. That hunter that basically ran a wolf down with a snowmobile in Wyoming and taped his mouth shut, took it to a bar to show it off, and then took it in the back of the bar and shot it dead. And the fact that that was even able to happen, and the process, there's no prosecution. It was $250 fine. I think now that they're looking into it, the police, and there's enough public outcry, they'll look into something, and they are, as they should, and he should be prosecuted, should be thrown in jail for what he did. But things like this are legal, to run an animal down with a snowmobile, to go into a den and kill pups, to use a sharpshooter out of an airplane and kill wolves, in their pack. I mean, it's sadistic, it's terrible, and it needs to end. And so that's why, I'm on the Realist Wolves Coalition, and that's why Peace for Animals has been on it for about 3 years to raise awareness, to protect them, and realize that they've been given such a bad name. And we need to reverse that. We need to look at wolves with compassion and the fact that they were here long before us. And yeah, whatever we can do to protect them. So trying to relist them on the endangered species list in the Northern Rockies, where they're not protected right now.
If you've enjoyed listening to this interview and any of our other interviews on the Outdoor Minimalist podcast, we'd love to hear from you. One super easy and free way to support our content is by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. We thank you for listening to and supporting our work so that together we can create a better outdoor space as we recreate. Okay, so for all of your work and conservation efforts, it can sometimes feel to a consumer that you're pretty far removed, especially for the events that are happening in other countries, and you are physically very far removed from those. So beyond awareness, you have brought up a couple of different ways that people can become involved in conservation efforts, but what are a few more ways that you can outline that people can get directly involved and actually help in preserving habitats and also the species themselves?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is to volunteer. So pick your favorite wildlife charity or just animal charity in general. And if you're able to dedicate some time to travel in these countries, Africa, Indonesia, wherever your passion lies, I think that that's critical and key. And you can work firsthand with these animals to protect them. Whether it's a sanctuary, whether it's protection in the wild, whether it's volunteering as a ranger. I mean, you can really, you can do anything. And so a lot of people say it's just too far for me. But really, if you look at it, I mean, a lot of these volunteer opportunities are very easy. And not to say that they accept everybody, but if you have a passion for animals and you know what you're doing, you'll be given a chance. And I would say the second is ecotourism. If you could, support any of these, amazing organizations and sanctuaries on the ground, ecotourism is the way to go. So even if you can't volunteer and you just want to visit these countries, do a little research online, and if you need help, you can also message us on Instagram or social media, and we'll give you some amazing ideas and some amazing organizations to visit.
And you mentioned earlier about being mindful of the things that we're consuming because palm oil is present in a lot of food and personal care products. So being on the lookout for that, but diet in general does play a big role in our environmental impact. And so are there other ways that the things that we're consuming can help push these conservation efforts forward or help us better align with our own values towards animals?
100%. I would say, trying a plant-based diet, eliminating meat, just go meatless Mondays and go from there. That can help save so many animals' lives. And not only that, but prevent wildlife conflict. So a lot of these endangered species are being killed because of conflict with cattle, or, they're taking out, a lamb or, a cow or whatever it may be, on these ranchers, properties. So that I think that that's key. If we could it starts with consumerism. It starts with what we buy at the grocery store, and there's always alternatives to meat and dairy. And so if you can do that, you're going to be saving so many lives, and not just the lives of the animals that are eaten for their meat, but also the lives of many endangered species because of human wildlife conflict, because of the meat and dairy industry.
Absolutely. And so, if listeners want to learn more about your Peace for Animals work, your other documentaries, what is your Give Me Shelter documentary and Why on Earth, how can they learn more and hopefully watch those films?
Absolutely. Well, they're streaming on Apple, iTunes, Amazon. So please, watch out for Why on Earth. I think you guys will really love the film. It took us 4 years to make it, and definitely a labor of love. And also Give Me Shelter. You can actually watch that as well on all streaming platforms. And then look out for Protectors of the Wild. Hopefully it'll be out next year. I don't know 100%. We're actually trying to find the rest of the funding to finish the film right now. And then we have a couple more locations to film. So I'm excited to bring that to viewers worldwide. And the protection of wolves is paramount because they've been given such a bad name throughout history, and we really need to reverse that and show compassion towards them.
Thanks for listening. And if you like what you hear, let me know. Leave a review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram at outdoor.minimalist.book, on YouTube, or subscribe to our weekly newsletter at theoutdoorminimalist.com. For even more updates, other educational resources, and to help build an outdoor community with the shared goal to create a better outdoor space as we recreate.